The biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, JJ and Alex, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us on a Monday. Hopefully your brackets aren't as busted as mine. My 10-year-old or 11-year-old boy took the lead this weekend. He might not relinquish it. He's got it's in the 99th percentile or something. You may as well have told him that he won the lottery no, that's not true. That he got a 1,600 in the SATs. He's like, look at this bracket that I made because I'm so much smarter than all you idiots.
Yeah.
And he's right. You know what? He's right. I'm in second to last. And my 3-year-old's still beating me. So there you go. That's how brackets work. And it's not been so chalk this year, although all 4 2 seeds are still in the tournament, JJ. 3 1 seeds. Real shame to see Florida go out. I did love seeing Iowa's head coach and Florida's head coach like going at each other's necks last night. And I will say too, the Mick Cronin, Danny Hurley, it's a shame one of those two had to lose. It couldn't just be both of them because
I would love to get Tim LaComb's thoughts on both of those guys.
Telling
because that's
Mick Cronin.
Coaches need to coach hard, but sometimes it feels like those guys go a little too hard. I'd like to get the opinion of somebody in the business. It
was absolute cinema to see Mick Cronin last night get that tech late in the game and his face get as beat red as it did, and then he gave some guff to a guy in the crowd who was giving it to him. I was like, this is as good as it gets.
They're fiery dudes.
Yeah. All right.
Real quick fact before we get to Tim.
Hear it.
We're going to talk about this more in the next segment, but I want to bring it up right now before we talk to Tim because we will do some NCAA talk here with Tim. This is only the second time in NCAA tournament history. This is credit to Jeff Borzello. This is the second time in NCAA tournament history where the Sweet 16 is made up entirely of teams from major conferences.
Oh, yeah.
When was the only other time? Last year.
Okay.
This is now a trend. And the mid-major in March Madness could be dead.
Utah State, you were our only hope last night.
They were the last mid-major standing.
I know. Joining us on the program, he is Tim LaComb, pre-half and post-game host, of course, for the Utah Jazz, and a guy who knows a thing or two about the NCAA tournament as well. Timmy, thanks for being with us, man.
Thanks, Coach.
What's up? I appreciated the Boston coming in, too.
I know.
I know that's your vibe.
Well, that was, I opened my mission call back in the day. I went to Boston, and, you thought, I read the words, and that song just came right to my head, so it was actually a throwback to, 175 years ago when I was doing that.
Well, it works where we're at here. We're at the John Watson Chevrolet, and there's 3 beautiful muscle cars staring at us. And so our producer, Alex Napolis,
Camaro SS 1967.
Oh, just it's awesome. And so I'm like, you look at those cars and then you hear the Boston, you go, okay, that makes sense. You can't play some K-pop Demon Hunters on the way back while you're watching that. No. So, Tim, let's start first with some college basketball because I just love getting your thoughts on this thing because you watch these teams that go through. I would imagine that you never turn off being able to watch these kids playing at this level, and you see the 2 local teams get bounced, and then you have these other teams that are still surviving into the Sweet 16. When you see where the tournament has gotten, and you've been able to be on some staffs that, of course, have gone to the NCAA tournament, how much has it changed from the time that you were coaching and you were doing the assistant thing and watching those kids in the tournament versus now in 2026 when it's full-blown professional basketball, it feels like?
Yeah, it's way different. And to y'all's point, Coach Rose used to tell me back in the day, and, when we would, just like Utah State did, get tragically underseeded, he'd say this tournament is not for the little guy. This is all for a big old revenue share and a big party for the big schools. And I think that's, they finally kind of got it that way. But I think those are the tactics. I think Utah State being seeded where they were was intentional. I think they think about stuff like that. But I'm also pretty jaded about the NCAA. But the tournament itself is awesome. It's got its own month and everybody gets after it. The 2 local teams, I thought, BYU played so well in the Big 12 tournament, kind of figured out some things. And then, I just felt like the pressure of the moment, the pressure of Texas, their size and length, really made BYU kind of go back to isolation ball and standing and watching. 2 assists for a game was pretty crazy. And I love everything AJ did, and so don't get me wrong, but it was just with the injuries to Richie being the biggest. But I also think Dawson Baker was a big one. I think those legacy guys are guys, those backbone BYU guys are really important. So with all that being said, I thought Kevin did a great job of coaching out of that situation. But Texas just, they're still playing, so that's obviously a team that's put it together. And then I think Utah State was one of my favorite teams to watch in the country. Coach Calhoun, if anything, is about the detail. And you can see it in the way they close out the shooters and the way they force drives to help and the fact that help's always there, the way they share the ball, the way they cut. I mean, everything is with passion and purpose. And so it was a pleasure watching them. And they had that game right there last night. But I think we all know how great Arizona is, and they have a couple dudes that just answered. And Tommy Lloyd, in my opinion, is one of the best to do it. And by far the best person, one of the best people doing it. There's a lot of guys that you guys mentioned, Mick Cronin, and I referred to him as Lord Farquaad. He's the writing for us and D-Mount.
That's great. Oh, my wife last night had a new one. My wife called him Timu Bruce Willis. She's like, "Who's this guy?" Jeez.
The Timu action figure, Bruce Willis. No, those guys are both really great coaches, but I mean, there is a lot of ego, and a lot of what you see with Mick is, he's got in his mind he's a hard-nosed guy, and he's got to prove it when he coaches. And I don't have any time for any of the nonsense. I just like guys that go out there and coach ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach Calhoun's headed to Cincinnati, another big blow for the Utah State basketball program, but I'm sure they'll plug and play like they always do. But it turns out that the players didn't find out until they landed in Ogden today, and they turned on their phones. The coach didn't talk to him today before they found out. He's apparently pretty upset that they found out before he had a chance to talk to the team. You were in that side of things with coaching. You weren't part of something like that I know of, but what's the proper way to go about that? How does a coach properly handle a departure like that? Because you ask these young men to sacrifice so much for you, and then the second you have an opportunity to go do what you want to do, you're peace out. How do coaches handle this properly?
Well, I think a lot of time needs to go into it. I mean, it's you only get to do it once, and the way I've always tried to live is you keep bridges upright, and the ones that you can, and I believe that in this instance, probably with technology the way it is, I mean, it was probably one of those things that he thought, I'm going to get everybody back and we'll talk to them. But as you know, there's all sorts of scoops. I got a call last night to say it was done from a buddy of mine that's in the game. So probably regrets not getting to those guys sooner. But I don't think it should diminish. I don't think there was any ill intent. The one thing I do like is when coaches are really grateful and, they on their way out, they're grateful for their time because, it really is a team thing. The coach does the big part of the job, but he's representing the school and the brand and the boosters. And so, I mean, I've seen coaches go out and, do it really great. And then I've seen coaches leave and, and mum's the word for a long time. And I just believe the way you go out kind of speaks to what you're about. And my experience with Calhoun has been nothing but great. And I would say it was probably just miscalculating time, if anything else, and trying to do it, at the perfect moment. And unfortunately, the perfect moment didn't happen.
Tim, as we see this Utah Jazz team getting toward the end of the year, and, I think we're all going to be looking forward to the rear view on a couple of the I don't think we're ever going to look at the rear view and try to forget, these times because so many of these guys are developing. I certainly don't think we're going to be, thinking about those were the fun days when Will Hardy had to cut his teeth on losing a bunch of basketball games as a head coach as he got into the game. But as we see this season kind of winding down, and the 76ers beat the Jazz the other night, but it was another moment where we saw Ace Bailey doing the development thing. Has he been for you a guy that has been as advertised? Because he's certainly had some phenomenal games. I just feel like he's grown so much, even just in the last month, that if you're a Jazz fan, you look and you go, they scored with that pick with Ace at 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think what he's done is he's validated the pick and then some. I think the real interesting thing to me in this whole process was kind of how he was mislabeled. How there was a lot of smoke put out there that he was more of a chucker, and, his basketball IQ wasn't great. And I think he's come in and put all those rumors to bed quick. A very happy kid, a kid who works at his craft. And, you're starting to see the payoff from a season full of reps, seeing the same thing over and over and figuring out how to navigate it. And he's definitely picked up some major things along the way. I was looking at his opening night box, and he only took 5 shots opening night, 1 for 5, at 5 points. And, that's probably my favorite thing over the last 6 years of doing this, is seeing, the Jazz have that run, kind of the windows open. Obviously the big move and the change, and then little by little just see pieces getting added to the team. And Coach Hardy and his staff all the way along have been a real positive constant to me. He's made every single iteration of this Jazz function really well. And as you guys said, it's not always about, it can't be about winning games this year, because it's more of a development situation. But in terms of like watching the way that they share the ball, the way that they have improved, transition defense, without a shot blocker on the roster right now, having to go out there and fight like crazy, but kind of rebounding with these big teams and doing some things that are really impressive. So I think culturally, even though there's been a lot of losses, been a ton of positive. And, Coach Hardy really has been able to lay the framework. And so now you talk about next year and all of the new pieces and the way they'll all fit together, and then which of these guys are going to stick, and they're all making a case. I mean, Sensabaugh's had big nights. Collier's had big nights. Obviously, you talked about Ace having big nights. Cody Williams has been terrific the last 2-3 weeks. So in terms of trends, it's all trending in the right direction. And honestly, I can't wait for the raft to pull up on the Tank River this year. And we get out and raft goes on, and we head over to, we're getting into the main park now, and we're going to ride the big rides.
Oh, Tim, we all want to ride the big rides. We can't wait for this. I'm so excited for next season. But watching all this play out, the pain makes sense and why they had to go through this. And speaking of pain, I want to talk about Cody Williams, because this is a guy who has really struggled for the most part until the last month or so, where things have really clicked for him. And I love a story like that, where everybody starts calling a guy a bust and says he can't do this and that, and all of a sudden it clicks and it works for them. And they realize the promise that they had when they were drafted or when people selected them, no matter what sport it is. And Cody Williams looks like one of those guys. What has changed with Cody? What is the difference? Obviously, getting a lot of reps helps, but he's had to work hard and he's had to make it happen. And it looks like he has.
No, he had great points. And yeah, I mean, he was a guy who labeled a bust, as a 19-year-old kid. If somebody would have labeled me as 19, I'd been a bust too. But luckily, you got opportunities to work on your craft. And the bottom line with him is, I do believe that he is a big-time student of the game. And what really unlocked the game for him this year is his cutting. Being able to play with Keontae demanding more attention and Lowry demanding attention, and Nurk having a year. Nurk had a year and demanded attention. And so Cody and Ace kind of got to play in that really nice spacing. And, like I said, the cutting and all the cutting and relocating and the catch and shoot threes and getting out in transition. So part of it's really like seeing it enough to do it, but Cody's put in hours and hours on his body. He got bigger and stronger, and he still needs to. So this offseason will be great for that. But yeah, just opportunities, having some success, gaining some confidence, building on that confidence. I mean, you guys think about, your first hits on the radio or your news. Everything is so, you can translate, to basketball. Yep. It's literally just getting an opportunity, getting up there and killing it and going, I want to do that again, but this time I want to do this. And that's where we are with a lot of these guys, and that's exciting to me.
Well, you've got a couple of games ahead, just obviously going to Denver, taking on the Nuggets. That's a team who, you look at any moment, you feel like when you've got the best player in the world or one of the best players in the world on your team, you've got a chance against those guys. How does I look at that game? You got Raptors, of course, tonight at home. You got Wizards before that. Those are two teams that are not necessarily into winning this week. But hey, They passed the test against the 76ers at home the other night, which I thought was kind of nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, this is a pretty interesting group right now because there's some 10 guys. In fact, the Jazz just re-upped Mezembang, he's been good. He's been really good. He's brought a ton of energy. And so I think, you're going to see guys coming in and getting an opportunity. And it's a great way to bring a bunch of guys through, while you're still all together. And so in terms of logistics, it's kind of a good time to do it, to get a feel for guys. And so I think this iteration of the Jazz, I think they're living up to what coach wants more than anything, and that's playing hard and sharing the basketball. And, some nights it's going to result in wins because they play so dang hard. And, it's been fun to watch because, again, this is not a season that, we're sitting here watching the playoff race, and we've known that for a while. But when you're adding finishing touches and you're looking at options and things like that, it's pretty intriguing. And, when you talk about what Ace has done this year, and he's going to be a fourth option, next year on a team that has got dynamic spacing with, people having to worry about Keontae, having to worry about Lowry and all he does and the way he scores. JJ, obviously, attacking mismatches because there's going to be a lot of those. But some of these young guys are really going to benefit from playing with three guys that, Keontae put an all-star type year together this year in his time. Lowry's been one. JJ's been one. So, it's exciting. The top level, the talent level is raised a ton, but also the depth and the pieces. And so that's where we're refining right now.
And, of course, the Jazz are going to have an opportunity, most likely, fingers crossed, to add another special talent in the offseason through the draft. And, even if the Jazz don't win the lottery this year, Tim, it feels like it's not going to be as devastating because you look 1 through 8, maybe 1 through 10. This draft is loaded. I'm sure you're watching the NCAA tournament and you're seeing some of these guys. What are your thoughts on this draft class right now that you've been able to see? Do you think it's as good as advertised?
Yeah, I actually do. I've been doing the draft for about 6 years now, and so while I haven't dived all the way into it, there's typically, on the top end, 3-4 guys, and then there's a drop-off. I do think there's a big old, 8 to 10 guys that can really help a team. And I think you're seeing, a guy like Koa Pete, who's down a ways, but what he's doing at Arizona, obviously the Acuff kid at Arkansas, who could be interesting in the 4, 5, 6 area, depending on how it all shakes out. The top end with Boozer, Devonsa, Peterson. So, yeah, it's exciting. And, yeah, the Jazz just have to finish this season out, play the cards right, take that pick. And I'm telling you, I believe they'll get what they need. And you obviously know that it's not exactly what the Jazz need. They can tailor around it. The Jazz are great at moving and shaking. And so, honestly, from when I started this 6 years ago, being pretty landlocked, having 2 stars and not a whole lot outside of that, to now, the transformation has been incredible. It really has.
Tim LaComb, of course, you can hear him on the pre-half and post games, and you'll hear that tonight. He and Jake Scott carrying you through, of course, every one of those and getting you ready for those Jazz games, and then, of course, breaking down everything at halftime and at the post. Tim, we appreciate you joining us, man, as always, and man, we're just we're looking forward to whatever this looks like. I love all the euphemisms, by the way. You've worked in quite a few, like knowing the assignment, playing the cards right. I don't care what we call it, but let's get there to the finish line, huh?
Just get her done. I mean,
that's a good one.
Just get her done, man.
There we go.
Yeah, I do know this. We've got 11
little cable
games
guy
left.
there.
We've got 11 games left. It's sunny outside. I wore like a tropical short sleeve shirt today, so
I know.
I'm getting excited, for the break. But everybody should be excited about the momentum with the Jazz, and we're going to have a hockey team in the playoffs. Rumors the Party Hounds may be playing on the plaza.
I know. Did we get that figured out or what?
Well, yeah, we're working it out, man. It's all going to be a timing thing, so we got to see how it plays. But the drummer's a big money guy, and he's rented a yacht in Greece for a month. So we're trying to work around his.
Okay.
We're trying to work around his life.
I love it. I love it. Tim, we appreciate it, man. Good luck tonight, and we'll talk to you again, man.
Love you, boys. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Tim LaComb. I was thinking about Tim this weekend because I was thinking about Utah going to a national championship game and how far, removed from that time frame we were. It all stemmed from a listener who sent a viewer who sent an email to TV and was like, "You got it wrong," and because I think it was pretty clear what you guys had said about, hey, they're trying to do.
Utah State has never been to the Sweet 16.
They said the whole entire state has never been to the Sweet 16.
Not the state of Utah. Utah State University. Utah State basketball.
You tell that gentleman with the blonde hair on TV, he got his crap wrong.
Wasn't me, but Sam got it right. Utah State had never been to the Sweet 16.
Of course he
Utah,
did.
we know, has been there multiple times, but hasn't been in a minute, and we'd like to see that change.
Yeah. All right. Well, appreciate Tim LaComb, and of course you can catch the pre-half and post right here, right after our program tonight. You're going to get yourself the pre-half and post, and Raptors tonight. The Wizards come back to town too, right? Or the Wizards are coming to town on, I think on Wednesday.
I think you're right.
Gosh, those are a couple dog games that you cannot afford to just hand away.
You got to really come in clutch here, Jazz. You got to lose these games.
Yeah. Raptors are pretty decent. I feel like that they're trying to get some stuff done here to position themselves how they
Wizards
want to.
on Wednesday.
Ugh, yuck. I'm not saying the Jazz yuck. I'm saying the Wizards are yuck. Like that team,
they have no hope, and they just signed 2 stars that aren't really stars anymore, in my opinion.
Oh, of course not. And imagine being in their spot. Jazz fans are going, gosh, get us out of this.
Oh, yeah.
There are franchises who are not interested in getting out of this. They will live like this year to year. And they prefer doing the lottery thing and just doing like the marketing of the check's clear for the TV broadcast revenue share that they get either way. And the bad owners look at it like that, like I get paid anyway. It doesn't matter. It's terrible. All right. We'll take the break here. We'll come back. We've got more around the corner. When we do join you next time, right when we come back, we've got tons still to talk about. JJ insists that maybe March Madness doesn't have the same appeal anymore.
It's not feeling madnessy anymore, if you know what I mean.
It's too corporate, all those guys taking over, man.
It's become a semi-professional basketball tournament.
All right, well, we'll come back. We'll talk about that and much more. Stay here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen. Thanks for being with us on the program. We're at John Watson Chevrolet here in Riverdale, and we're jamming out here. By the way, you can jam out with Scotty G and friends coming up on Wednesday at RGS Exteriors, noon to 3, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Join Scotty G for his program there on Wednesday. Okay, I'm looking at a bracket here. We've got a bracket open right in front of us. Oh, Miami, Ohio turned out they're not as good as we thought that they would have been. They had that nice first 4 win. Then they ended up losing by 22 to Tennessee as an 11 seed. I'm trying to think if there was a really nice story from a upset standpoint, from a Cinderella standpoint.
Well, how about Texas coming from the first 4? Everybody counted them out.
Now, their coach, he's brand new to the game, isn't he?
Never heard of that guy. You're great. It's a great point. There isn't.
High Point
for a minute.
We brought up High Point getting that first round win, and then they played tough against Arkansas for sure. But after that, it's a who's who of single digits that are left in the tournament of seeding, and then a crazy 11-seeded Texas team. That's on. I think they're the only double-digit seed, and they don't feel like a Cinderella story. It's a joke to call them that because they're spending as much money as anybody on the planet.
They are the only double-digit seed left in the tournament, and after that it's 9 Iowa, which
that's a little bit out of nowhere because you don't expect the Hawkeyes
but it's
to do
Iowa
much.
Who's in the tournament almost every year in the Big Ten, and they produce NBA players. Yeah, it's chalk heavy. And outside of a couple, in like the Santa Clara, Kentucky game, that was a wild finish. Dylan Darling last night. But that's a kid that was playing at a mid-major last year who's now playing at St. John's, which is not a mid-major.
No.
So where'd the mid-major go? What happened? Utah State was the last team considered a mid-major from a mid-major conference.
So where are the
that lost?
Yeah, where are the storylines? Like, because in my mind, like Nebraska is the one that feels the most out of nowhere, but they're also
they were
a
in the
4
top
seed.
10 most of the year.
I know
they're stacked.
They just have never been.
Right.
They're the Indiana of. They are to basketball as Indiana was to football.
You're gonna pitch that as a Cinderella? Give me a break.
No, of course not. And there's part of me that goes, hey, cool. I want them to keep going. I think that's fun. That's a fun story. You look at the Big 12 teams and you go, all right, let's see what these guys can all do. And because who's left from the Big 12? You got Arizona, you have Iowa State, you have Houston.
Arizona, Iowa State, and Houston.
That's it?
And that is it.
That's it. Okay. Now, Iowa State, Houston, and Arizona, every one of those teams could win the national championship.
Yes.
And that's
although Jefferson's hurt for Iowa State, so I don't think they win in the Sweet 16 without him.
You know, they beat Tennessee.
Not without him. Not without him.
I do get the point about it is fun every year when you get that 14-3 or you get that team that's a 13 seed that goes to the Sweet 16. Texas feels like it's fake. It's not a real Cinderella. I don't know. When you brought up that point about, hey, there's only been 2 times in the history of the NCAA tournament that they've gone this far and they haven't had a mid-major in the tournament, and it was this year and last year.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it has become that quickly, not just a trend, but the norm that you're going to see.
I think it is
because guys go from NIL money goes, hey, if you're a decent player from Hawaii and you were a 13 seed and some coach saw you and they go, we played the same arena that those guys did. I liked what I saw out of that number 14 from Hawaii. Let's bring him in to fill in the blank. Let's bring him in and have him play at Texas Tech, at Arizona State, whatever it might be. And the reason you get them is because you can pay them money that these other schools weren't able to do. Now, from a sports standpoint, JJ, isn't this what we're seeing in football too? Where you're like, yeah, and you know what that is? This roster sharing, so to speak, makes the game, makes the level of basketball better than we've ever seen. And I could argue that we are seeing the best basketball probably that we've ever seen in the NCAA tournament because of how much talent. Yeah, you're right. Of not having to be very much fun
by having it like this. Where is that Matt? Where's St. Peter's? Where's Fairleigh Dickinson? Where's George Mason? Where's Florida Atlantic?
Matt, who was it? Was it Oral Roberts a couple of years ago? Also
where's Oral Roberts? Yeah. Where are those schools? Where are those storylines? Where is that Cinderella run that attracted everybody to this great event in the first place? When you take that away from it, what does it become? It becomes a professional basketball tournament. I'd rather watch the NBA playoffs, to be quite honest.
Yuck.
Serious?
Well, no, I'll watch the conference finals. Those for opening round.
Because you're right. The quality of play for a lot of these teams is better because they're getting guys on their rosters that otherwise would be playing overseas or somewhere else or in the G League or in the NBA. So there is a slightly better quality of play among the big name teams. But look, High Point's the lowest seed that won a tournament game this year. They were a 12. It's not like they were a 16 seed. They were a 12. The only mid-majors to win were High Point, VCU, St. Louis, Utah State. That's it. That's the only mid-majors that made it to the second round. I'm not counting Gonzaga. That's not a mid-major. Where are the mid-majors? They're gone because they can't compete at this level anymore. They can't even sniff it. Outside of a team like High Point beating a Wisconsin team that was built to be beat in March anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
It's the chalkiest tournament yet. It was as chalky as it was last year.
Yeah, the Florida Gators being outed as the first number 1 seed to go out of the tournament is like everybody's looking around going, ew, like you guys got beaten the tournament already as a 1 seed?
Right.
That's ick. All the 2 seeds are still sticking around. How many 3 seeds are still around this thing? All the 3 seeds are still there too?
Oh, sorry. Virginia got beat by Tennessee.
Yeah,
so that's the exception.
That's the only one.
Illinois and Michigan State and Gonzaga got beat by Texas.
Okay.
Sorry. The 3 seeds did take a couple
of those. But all of the 2 seeds are still there. 3 of the 4 seeds are still there. And your final 4 will likely be that's why my kids win in the bracket because he just picked all the high seeds probably.
And that works nowadays.
Okay, got my news.
I think didn't all number 1 seeds make it last year?
Yeah, all 4 were in the it was the first Final Four with all number 1s in like 18 seasons.
So why are we having a tournament then? Why are we having a tournament? We already know who the best teams are.
Well, that won't put butts in seats at the old Buffalo Wild Wings, JJ.
That's my point, though, is what happens when the magic of March goes away and this just becomes a professional basketball tournament? Are you still interested in tuning in? Are you still curious? Are you still going to watch? Are you still going to fill out a bracket if you know who's already going to win? That's not the fun of it.
Right.
It's lost its fun a little bit. It's too predictable. And I think this is bad for the NCAA tournament. Now, what can happen to change that? Nothing, because this is the new model. This is the new world of college sports. It's the haves and the have-nots, and the gap's going to get bigger. I know that. But it won't be long before we don't see a High Point even have a chance to compete. We saw Utah State got seeded as 9th. Arizona's head coach, Tommy Lloyd, said that wasn't a 9 seed. That was a 6 seed at best,
right.
At worst.
I'm glad he said it. I saw that, and I was like, good.
And
good
you know
for them.
what? The Aggies, they busted their butt, and they got it down to 4.
They got back into it, yeah.
With the team that's probably going to win the national championship. So don't tell me those teams couldn't compete if the playing field was a little bit more level. But it's not. It's not going to change. And as long as this gap continues to grow, goodbye madness. It's not going to be mad anymore. It's going to be predictable and boring.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. This show is neither predictable nor boring, okay? We're going to keep it rolling here. We're at John Watson Chevrolet here in Riverdale, and you can catch some of the best Chevys, of course. You just parked this brand new Suburban right out here. That looks nice, doesn't it?
Yes.
It looks like you would need – that's part of a motorcade. You know what I mean?
That's what it looks like.
All blacked out. It's one of the premieres.
Looks like somebody special is inside it.
We could go do the rest of the show from in there. Should we be the special people in there? I don't think
we qualify.
Stone and Brandt would be sent through the roof. We're just going to move real quick over to the Suburban.
You guys stuff the cameras on the side there.
All right, we'll come back. We have more to go from the John Watson Chevrolet.
We're going to do Suburban karaoke.
The Northern Utah Players of the Week Awards for basketball. They are hosting it tonight right here at John Watson Chevrolet. We'll come back and we'll chat with Corey. Stay here, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Basking in the sports misfortune of others to help make you feel just a little bit better about yourself. As JJ and Alex present,
Yes, we got beat. We got beat badly.
It Sucks to Be You.
Look at that. I just got word we have some extra Jazz tickets kicking around at the station, and we're going to give them away right now. How about caller number 12? It does not suck to be you.
No.
If you're calling number 12 right now, you get yourself 2 lower bowl tickets to see the Jazz and Wizards coming up on Wednesday. That's this week. So go check it out for yourself with the 801-575 zone. That's 801-575 zone. Caller number 12 gets a pair of lower bowl tickets. See Jazz Wizards this week at Delta Center. Handful of home games left on the season, so sneak them in right now. 801-575 zone. I'm going to quickly go through the list of people who it currently sucks to be from over the weekend. Sucks to be Utah State. Just lost their coach, Jared Calhoun. Sucks to be Jared Calhoun's people who let it slip before the team hit the tarmac from San Diego. Everybody's phones turned on, and that's how they found out that their new head coach was.
That's brutal.
They're going to have to find another place to live. Hey, but good news is some of you guys are going to be Bearcats in the future.
Can you imagine Mason Fallsliff having to do this again?
I think they all saw the writing on the wall. I mean,
we've been talking about on the show for a couple weeks now. As soon as the Cincinnati job opened up,
as soon as they fired him officially, yeah.
Oh boy,
yeah.
He's it's his alma mater. He played college basketball in the state of Ohio. He's from the state of Ohio. His family's from the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
And he's incredible.
Yeah.
He's a great coach. So it made a lot sense.
Sucks to be St. Mary's, who just lost Randy Bennett as their head coach after 25 seasons. That's crazy because that you just assumed that guy was going to finish it out there. You know what I mean? Like
I can't imagine St. Mary's basketball without him.
I know. It sucks for BYU fans because Randy Bennett's got your number. I don't care where he's coaching. If he's in the Big 12 taking on BYU, they've seen this.
They cannot get away from this guy.
We should have asked Tim about it because
he knows Randy Bennett.
He's really close with coach, and so that's an interesting one. Sucks to be Mick Cronin. Darn it. They got bounced in the
Coach Farquhar out again.
Lord Farquhar gets bounced from the tourney. Sucks to be the Gators who got ousted, and then sucks to be Vanderbilt also.
Oh, that shot. That now we talked about how the madness is gone.
I know.
That would have been an all-time March Madness moment.
It would have been fun.
And there's people have been putting still shots on social media of the ball actually
how close it was.
The cylinder.
Yeah.
And you're like, how did that come out? It was halfway down.
It's like when you watch those golf tournaments and they do it in slow motion and the ball goes, I'm going in the hole. Psych. Yeah.
Fred Hoiberg thought it went in.
Oh.
You could tell by his reaction.
Oh, my goodness.
Because he saw it in the cylinder, and he instantly thought he had made it.
Yeah, that's crazy. We'll come right back. We got more to go around the corner. When we return, Cole Bagley, our Utah Mammoth insider for KSLSports.com, is going to join us, give us some thoughts on the most recent wins and then that nasty loss against the Ducks the other night. But moving on and moving forward, this team is still in control of that wild card one spot. We'll ask Cole about it next. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.